We're tracking breaking news this afternoon after a fire spreads to 2 homes in a Lexington neighborhood.
We take a closer look at the investigation into a hit-and-run crash that killed a woman and sent a man to jail.
The remains of a couple killed in the terrorist attacks in Brussels, Belgium, have returned home. We'll show you the tribute they received.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
It did not take long for a fire in the Lexington neighborhood to spread.
A home on Smuggler's Notch Drive off Liberty Road caught fire this afternoon. That fire involved a massive response because the flames caught a second home on fire as well. Officer Don shot this video of the homes from Sky First this afternoon. You can see the fire caused some extensive damage to both of those homes. WKYT's Victor Puente is live at the scene where he's been tracking the breaking details. Victor?
Firefighters tell us they're looking at several possibilities as the cause of this fire. That includes a grill that was near a wooden fence in the backyard of the initial home where the fire started. A man was home at that time and smelled smoke. Firefighters tell us that by the time he ran outside, his fence was on fire and the fire was spreading to his and a neighboring home. Firefighters were able to put the fire out, but both homes suffered heavy damage. The man who lives in the home on the right told me his upstairs is pretty much gone. He did say he was thankful to the people who went into his home and got his dogs. Those neighbors told us they saw the smoke and could tell the fire was spreading, so they came here as quickly as they could.
When I pulled up, the gentleman had just ran out of his house. It had just started on fire, and so I could tell it was going to jump to the neighbor's house. So I ran over to the neighbor's house and started ringing the doorbell and banging on the door. No one would answer. So I happened to try the doorknob, and it was unlocked, and as soon as we opened the door, we could hear the dogs barking. And so another neighbor and I ran in.
While they did rescue 2 dogs, a cat that was in that home is still unaccounted for. A Lexington detective who went into that home initially was checked out at the scene for smoke inhalation. He was okay. Now, again, this fire is still under investigation, but firefighters are looking at the possibility that it started near a grill in the backyard of that initial home. Live in Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Firefighters say they did attempt to evacuate a third home because of strong winds, but the fire never spread beyond the initial 2. Investigators took a second look at the scene of a deadly hit-and-run today.
The Mercer County Sheriff's Office says Matthew Warner was driving the truck that hit and killed a woman on US 127 yesterday morning. As WKYT's Sean Moody shows us, the sheriff says the crash has shaken people across the county.
The Mercer County Sheriff said it's important for his investigators to be as thorough as possible. He says that's why they were out here again along US 127 this morning investigating. Mercer County Sheriff Ernie Kelty said his deputies have put in long hours since the crash just after 2 o'clock yesterday morning.
Our community wants the answers on what happens, you know, and we have to provide that for them. That's what we're here for.
Sheriff's deputies charged 21-year-old Matthew Warner with leaving the scene of an accident and tampering with physical evidence. According to his arrest citation, investigators say Warren was driving the truck that hit Heather Lawrence while she was in the southbound lanes of US 127. They said he then left the truck in a driveway a few miles away and had someone else report it stolen later Sunday morning. Deputies arrested Warner Sunday afternoon, and they're still interviewing other people.
We're taking this step by step, being very thorough. You know, it's a very tragic accident. You know, and we've got a 38-year-old lady that's lost her life who has a family and kids. That family will want answers, along with, I'm sure that Mr. Warner's family will want answers too.
Now, we reached out to Warner at the Boyle County Detention Center to try and get his side of the story. He declined our interview request. In Mercer County, Sean Moody, WKYT.
Heather Lawrence's husband has started an online fundraiser for her funeral. We have a link to that fundraiser at WKYT.com. There are some new details this afternoon about a couple hit by a car. Police say the pair was hit as they crossed Versailles Road near Keeneland yesterday morning. Police now tell us the couple hit another car with their car and were walking from the scene when they were hit. The woman was rushed to UK hospital with life-threatening injuries. The man also suffered serious injuries. Police say the driver who hit them will not face charges.
The bodies of a Lexington native and her husband killed in last month's terror attacks in Brussels, Belgium have arrived home. Lexington police and the Patriot Guard greeted a plane carrying Stephanie and Justin Shults when it arrived at Bluegrass Airport late last night. WKYT's Hillary Thornton shows us the tribute.
The young couple receiving a hero's welcome late Sunday night as they made their final trip back here to the place Stephanie called home.
Oh, it just touches my heart to know that our baby girl is back in Lexington.
As family members met the plane bringing Justin and Stephanie Shults to Kentucky from Dover Air Force Base, they were joined by Lexington police as well as members of the Patriot Guard Riders and Rolling Thunder, all putting together a touching tribute for the Lexington native and her husband.
We've had to meet a lot of grieving families at Bluegrass Field who their loved one is coming home from the battlefield, and this was different. This was not a military event, but this young couple, they're casualties of war, and they were killed by people that hate us.
Escorting these two victims of the terrorist attacks in Brussels from the Bluegrass Airport to Kerr Brothers Funeral Home, where loved ones put together arrangements for both Justin and Stephanie here in Lexington, where they will be buried together later this week.
She's actually going to be buried in a site next to my mother, her grandmother, and it's like I can feel my mother enfolding her in her arms.
What the family has gone through the past 2 weeks, obviously unimaginable. They say the outpouring of love and support from here in Kentucky, as well as from all around the world, has been tremendous. In Lexington, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
The families made funeral arrangements for Stephanie and Justin Shults today. Their visitation will be from 3 to 8 Thursday and 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Friday. They'll have a joint funeral at 2 on Friday. The visitation and funeral will take place at Southland Christian Church on Harrodsburg Road. Both are open to the public.
Deputies arrested a mother after finding her and her baby living in what they describe as filthy conditions. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Laurel County. 39-year-old Emily Taylor is charged with endangering the welfare of a minor. The sheriff's office says they found Taylor under the influence with her 9-month-old in her care at a home on Willie Green Road. They tell us the home had no electricity, no water. There was garbage, they say, everywhere, and 5-gallon buckets were being used as toilets. Taylor was taken to jail. The baby is in the care of relatives. A Knox County judge has set a trial date for 2 people charged in a woman's murder. Amanda Hoskins and William Lester will stand trial on September 6th. Police say the pair killed Catherine Mills at her Flat Lick home in 2010. The Times-Tribune reports a third suspect, Jonathan Taylor, will be tried separately.
All right, get ready for some wild weather the next few days. It is spring, but it's going to feel more like winter, and there's even some snow in the forecast. WKYT meteorologist Jim Caldwell's here now with all the changes. That's sort of a dirty word.
It is, especially in April, and especially when we're going into the spring meet out at Keeneland. So unfortunately, that will be the case. Some flakes of snow at least possible at this point. Fine out there today, even with the showers that have passed through the area. They were very light, and they're still light across parts of southern and eastern Kentucky. It's not bad. You can look at some of our cams across Kentucky. A lot of us are finding ourselves now in that clear zone like Louisville. Look at that. You see more blue skies. Even Frankfort, you're seeing clouds in the distance with the clearing zone getting into town. Now, out in Jackson, clouds are still holding steady in those areas. Look to the north, though, and to Covington. We're at 46 degrees. That's kind of the benchmark I've been watching to see where the cold air is located. That, and you go over to Maysville as well. They're now down to 56. Trace the winds, and you see they're coming from the north. So naturally, those colder temperatures will start dropping in on us as we progress through the rest of the night. Those showers I was talking about to die out across parts of southeastern Kentucky. They likely will here very soon, but you won't like what comes after them. That would be the 20s that a lot of us wake up to tomorrow morning. Freeze warning in place overnight. Probably one of a couple we'll face this week, guys. We'll track all of it here in just a few minutes.
All right, Jim, thank you. April is likely to be a pivotal month in the race for the White House.
The first nominating contest of the month happens tomorrow in Wisconsin. As Craig Boswell shows us, all 5 of the remaining presidential candidates believe they can win their party's nomination.
The battle for GOP delegates in Wisconsin remains personal.
I don't think it is a state secret that Donald's personal life has not been immaculate. But I have no interest in going there.
Trump mocked Cruz during one of his 3 events in Wisconsin Monday.
I'm the only one that has proven that I can beat Donald Trump.
The latest CBS News battleground tracker shows Cruz with a slight lead in Wisconsin.
There are 42 delegates in the Wisconsin GOP contest. The Democrats are battling for 86 delegates.
But those are awarded proportionally, meaning a close outcome in Wisconsin has little impact on Hillary Clinton's delegate lead. Craig Boswell, CBS News, the White House.
Hillary Clinton has a 10-point lead in New York in the CBS News Battleground Tracker poll. The Empire State has nearly 3 times as many delegates as Wisconsin. California has enacted the nation's highest minimum wage. Governor Jerry Brown signed that bill this morning. It will raise the state's minimum wage, this is in California, to $15 an hour by 2022. Opponents have warned the move could cost thousands of jobs, but the governor there says the state's economy can absorb the raises.
Well, as Jim has been telling us, it might be spring, but Mother Nature doesn't seem to get that message. People in western New York woke up to snow this morning. There was enough to slow down the morning commute and cause a few accidents. People say they're done with the winter weather.
I think it's a little too late for snow. I would rather be out on the golf course.
Indeed, the snow was also a rude welcome for students at Cornell University who had their first day back from spring break today. We also have a little bit of snow in the forecast later on this week.
That we do. Winter will try to stage a return as many spring activities get started around Lexington. As Mike Linden shows us, you'll need to dress warmly if you're headed to opening day for the Legends or Keeneland later this week.
Spring is here, but it doesn't really feel like it. With cool temperatures sticking around for the week, Lexington Legends officials say opening night this Thursday was never in doubt.
Weather elements in April in Kentucky, as you know, are very unpredictable at times, hard to predict anyway.
A stark difference from the inaugural season for the Legends in 2001.
The temperature was 81 degrees at first pitch and there was bright sunshine, so you can't ask for any better weather than that.
With the low 80s unlikely for Thursday, Elkin says weather can always have an impact.
It's part of baseball. Occasional rain out is part of the game, but we certainly do everything we can to get every game in, and that's always the goal.
So barring any extreme circumstances, it's play ball for the Legends on Thursday night. And just a line drive away from Whitaker Bank Ballpark is another popular springtime destination in the Bluegrass. The spring meet kicks off this Friday here at Keeneland.
Track leaders say whether it's cooler than normal or even wet, the races will go on as planned.
It's Kentucky in spring. What's the old saying, wait 5 minutes and the weather will change. So you never really know what you're going to get. You get warm days in February, you get cold days in May.
May says he has no doubt race fans will be there in force to kick off the meet this Friday.
Where they're going to come rain, snow, shine, whatever it may be, because it's more about the ambiance and what they're doing out here and the horses.
In Lexington, Mike Linden, WKYT.
Now, this season at Whitaker Bank Ballpark, every Thursday night game will be Bark in the Park games where fans can bring their dog. And at Keeneland, all parking will be free for the spring meet.
It is time now for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. A recall alert for a vegetable you might have in your refrigerator right now. Alimentos Congelados is recalling 1,800 cases of frozen broccoli cuts over fears of listeria contamination. They were sold in 11 states, including Kentucky. The affected bags have a specific UPC code. We have that code and more information on the recall for you on WKYT.com. British researchers have found a new use for Botox. Patients with knee pain say just one injection is getting them back on track. Jonathan Vigalotti shows us how it works.
Dr. Michelle Irby jogs every day, but splintering pain around her knee nearly sidelined her passion for the pavement 2 years ago.
It was a really severe stabbing pain in my knee that I just couldn't run through.
Generally, patients will feel it over the
Irby was diagnosed with LPOS, a common injury impacting the muscle around the knee and thigh. 1 in 8 runners has it.
For many of those patients, it would have just been physiotherapy, more physiotherapy, and even more physiotherapy, and the surgical options were extremely limited.
But physiotherapist David Urquhart and a team from London's Imperial College and Fortius Clinic found a breakthrough with Botox. Botox is often used to relieve wrinkles, and researchers say it also relaxes injured muscles associated with LPOS. Irby was one of 45 patients in their study to receive a shot in the front hip muscle, which runners tend to overuse.
From about 3 months after that, I was actually relatively pain-free, and I've actually managed to do a marathon since then with no pain.
Researchers found just a single small injection, along with continued physical therapy, had a 69% success rate. Irby has remained pain-free since her injection 2 years ago. She's now focused on training for not 1, but 2 marathons this year. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, London.